He thought lawsuits would scare them into silence, but instead, Prince Harry may have just cracked open the one door he never wanted the world to walk through. Prince Harry believed this would be simple. Float the word lawsuit, let the critics panic, and shut the whole thing down before it spiraled. But the moment whispers surfaced that he was considering legal action against Lady Colin Campbell and royal biographer Tom Bower, everything detonated. Not slowly, not quietly, instantly. What had once been brushed off as fringe gossip transformed into something far more dangerous. Questions about royal births, missing records, and secrets that, if dragged into court, could tear apart the Sussex story forever.
Is it possible the ghostwriter dislikes Harry? I know people who know him. I've heard interesting things about him. I know he's, as I have said previously, very into the 12-step program and the whole druggy alky business. It is not the job of a ghostwriter to do anything but put the thoughts of the incompetent who requires a ghostwriter.
Which is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry. I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary.
I think more people want something in-depth in terms of the review of the Tom Bower book than don't. So some people just wanted one episode, other people want more.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
I personally think there are times when he should have. You are absolutely right. The book is littered with inconsistencies and anomalies, where Harry is on the one hand raging about people and how terrible they are because they are doing to him exactly what he is doing to someone else, but he's a wonderful person. But they're terrible. When I was pregnant, and Harry says, oh, there was a little discussion before we got married. Well, something's wrong right there. But anyway.
I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies.
Had to admit that actually those stories had been published by other newspapers, days prior, and that's where they got the information from. Or the fact sometimes the palace released information themselves and Prince Harry wasn't aware of it, or the fact that it was just sources and friends or people close to Prince Harry.
I must say it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut.
All Samantha's questions from her lawyers, whether she lied about Samantha, about Thomas Markle in her notorious interview with Oprah Winfrey. So that's a major breakthrough for Samantha Markle, for Thomas Markle, and for the truth.
Prince Harry thought he could shut critics down. Instead, Lady C cranked the volume to maximum. The moment reports dropped that Harry is considering lawsuits against Lady Colin Campbell and royal biographer Tom Bower, everything exploded. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was royal secrets, birth rumors, and legal threats that could rip the Sussex story wide open. And just like that, the narrative flipped. This wasn't Harry defending his family. This was Harry standing at the edge of a legal cliff, staring down two veterans who don't bluff, don't blink, and don't back off. Lady C didn't whisper. Tom Bower didn't hedge. They leaned forward and said the quiet part out loud. From viral baby bump footage to whispers of sealed documents, this stopped being internet chatter and started feeling like a countdown. Because once lawyers enter the picture, the rules change. Evidence replaces vibes, paperwork replaces PR, and silence becomes suspicious.
Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview. It's been really poisonous.
Well, he does it because he needs a profile. That's the only way they can get money, by showing the profile. And for Netflix, everything is built around the future documentary series to promote the Sussexes.
Is married to a professional journalist who was the editress of the Evening Standard.
Fondness for, shall we say, stretching the truth. Could the single case see Harry caught up in his own web of lies? Well, to answer this and much more, I'm delighted to welcome the world's top royal author. He, of course, published Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors, Tom Bower. So, Tom, This feels like a significant development tonight. What's happening?
Well, if I was Meghan, I'd be undoubtedly very worried tonight what the judge decided.
From viral baby bump clips to courtroom warfare, this is the tea the palace never wanted poured. So don't blink, because once this starts unraveling, there's no turning back. Prince Harry is reportedly furious, and this goes way beyond bad headlines. Behind the scenes, word is he's weighing full legal action against Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower. And here's why these two didn't play it safe. They openly questioned the strange secrecy around the births of Archie and Liette. No soft language, no tiptoeing. They pointed straight at the gaps. No hospital photos, no clear confirmations, no solid timelines for royal births. That's not normal. Not normal. That phrase kept echoing, because royal births aren't casual events. They're documented, announced, photographed, confirmed. Doctors are named. Statements are issued. Traditions older than most countries are followed to the letter. But here, there were gaps. Gaps big enough to drive an entire controversy through. And when Harry reportedly heard what was being said publicly, insiders claim he didn't just get upset, he erupted. Doors closed, phones lit up, lawyers were consulted. Because this wasn't shade or commentary, this was a direct challenge to the Sussex narrative itself.
Bower, where he doesn't go there. He doesn't go there. But he does go there as far as the fact that they wanted to keep the birth private and all the secrecy around that, and even the fact that
The accusation of Oprah Winfrey. Also, I think they're reserving that sort of attack for Meghan's own book, for which we must now look forward in a year's time or something.
I wonder, when you watched Meghan Markle speak out, what went through your mind?
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they. The thing that I always keep in mind is that none of this is about us in public service. It's about the people that we serve. I always try to push the light back out and focus it on the folks that we're actually here to serve.
Not even close. And people noticed. When Harry heard what was said on air, insiders say he lost it behind closed doors. And honestly, who wouldn't? This wasn't shade. This was a direct hit. They questioned his behavior. They hinted at cover-ups, and they challenged the entire Sussex narrative head on. According to them, Harry and Meghan didn't just tell a story, they engineered one. A polished image meant to control the public, especially when money and influence started slipping. But here's the problem. Lady C and Bower aren't scared, not even a little. If anything, they look ready for the fight. These aren't rookies. They live for royal expos. That's the part Harry may have underestimated. These aren't anonymous trolls hiding behind burner accounts. These are seasoned royal insiders who've spent decades pulling threads and watching entire tapestries unravel. And instead of retreating, they double down. Because here's the thing. Defamation threats only work when the other side is scared of discovery. And Lady C, Tom Bower, they didn't sound scared, they sounded prepared.
But Samantha only called herself Markle when Meghan was engaged to Harry, which Samantha says is a total lie. Interestingly, Samantha also says that Meghan's story about having a Ford Explorer where she could only get in through the boot was also untrue. She goes through a whole load of Meghan's lies. So by July, that is what the judge has said. These depositions, this cross-examination of Meghan will take place for the trial to start in October. So Meghan really has a problem, because until today, her lawyers have been saying this is so ridiculous, we refuse to even engage with Samantha Markle. They stonewalled.
He has more power than the courts and the king. That's what he's trying to do. He's getting the government to undermine the legal system and the institution of the monarchy. It couldn't be simpler. Harry has security when he comes to this country. It's assessed on a case-by-case basis. If he stays in a palace, and he's offered to stay in palaces, and refuses to do so because he's trying to manipulate the system.
And they claim they've got receipts, sources, documents, testimony, the kind of material that doesn't disappear under pressure. Lady C didn't flinch. The message was clear: sue me if you dare. And if Harry does, legal experts say the fallout could be brutal. A courtroom fight could force private records into daylight, including those birth documents everyone keeps whispering about. And once that door opens, there's no closing it again. To make it even more suspicious, Buckingham Palace went completely silent. No denial, no clarification, just the usual "we don't engage in speculation" line. And everyone knows what silence does online. Silence doesn't calm the internet, it feeds it. And the palace's refusal to shut this down didn't protect Harry, it amplified the suspicion. Clips resurfaced. Old footage was replayed frame by frame. People slowed down videos, zoomed in, analyzed movements, timelines, expressions. What once sounded outrageous suddenly felt unsettled. Then came the whispers about hospital records, quiet checks, alleged searches, claims that nothing lined up the way it should, no confirmations, no trace. And that's when the conversation crossed a line. Because once people start asking why, there's no putting that curiosity back in the bottle. What makes this even more volatile is timing. The Sussex brand isn't riding high anymore. Deals feel fragile, public goodwill feels thinner, and now, at the exact moment when stability matters most, the foundation itself is being questioned. And that's the real danger here. Not headlines, not trending hashtags, but courtrooms. Because in court, stories don't survive on vibes and victimhood, they survive on documents, dates, records, and sworn testimony. Lady C knows that, Tom Bower knows that, and Harry knows it too. Which is why this threat of legal action doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like desperation, a gamble. One move that could either silence critics or force open a vault of information that can never be locked again. And as this storm builds, one question keeps getting louder. If everything is exactly as it's been presented, why risk a lawsuit that could expose it all? By the time the dust settled from those broadcasts, something irreversible had already happened. This wasn't just gossip anymore, it had crossed into the realm Harry fears most: credibility. Once that cracks, no amount of statements, interviews, or carefully staged appearances can glue it back together. And the more legal threats floated behind the scenes, the more it felt like panic disguised as power. Because here's the uncomfortable truth: lawsuits don't silence questions, they spotlight them. Behind closed doors, royal watchers say the mood shifted fast. This wasn't treated like another bad headline to ride out. This felt bigger, heavier. The kind of issue that makes people stop asking, how do we spin this? And start whispering, what happens if this goes to court? Because court is where narratives go to die. Legal experts weren't subtle about the risk. A defamation case doesn't just put the defendant on trial, it puts the plaintiff under a microscope. If Prince Harry sues, he doesn't get to control what evidence is relevant. Judges do. And suddenly, things that were once private become discoverable. Medical timelines, communications, records, details no PR team ever planned to explain. That's why Lady C's calm confidence rattled people so deeply. She didn't sound defensive, she sounded ready. Ready to lay everything out, ready to let a courtroom decide who's bluffing. And when she repeated that challenge, "let him sue me," it didn't come off as provocation, it came off as certainty. Meanwhile, the internet did what it always does when it smells blood in the water. It went hunting. Old footage resurfaced again. Pregnancies that once passed with polite smiles were now being scrutinized like forensic evidence. Viewers replayed clips in slow motion. Comment sections filled with frame-by-frame breakdowns. What used to be dismissed as bad angles suddenly looked odd. Not definitive, not proven, but unsettling enough that people couldn't unsee it. And once millions of people start asking the same question at the same time, the conversation stops being fringe. It becomes mainstream. That's the nightmare scenario Harry is staring at. Because it's no longer just critics talking to critics, it's broadcasters, commentators, and casual viewers asking why royal birth traditions followed for generations seem to dissolve overnight. No hospital steps, no attending doctors actor's name. No clear timeline, just vague statements and requests for privacy that didn't line up with royal precedent. Privacy is one thing, inconsistency is another. And then there's the palace. Buckingham Palace's silence didn't protect Harry, it isolated him. No firm denial, no public backing, just a familiar line about not engaging in speculation. In normal times, that works. In this moment, it felt like abandonment. Insiders say senior figures are deeply uneasy, not because they want drama, but because legitimacy is the monarchy's backbone. Even whispers about it are dangerous. Royal history is filled with cautionary tales where questions over lineage didn't fade, they exploded. Dynasties have fallen over less. And that's why this story is radioactive. It doesn't just threaten reputations, it threatens structures. Meanwhile, Tom Bower didn't retreat either. He widened the lens. Birth questions, he suggested, were just one part of a much bigger pattern. Control. Control of narrative. Control of sympathy. Control of media. According to him, when pressure mounts, Harry and Meghan don't correct stories, they counterattack. Racism claims, security fears, emotional appeals. Tools that once worked brilliantly are now losing their power as skepticism grows. And skepticism is brutal. It doesn't shout, it spreads quietly until it's everywhere. Financial pressure only added fuel to the fire. Once glossy, deals no longer look guaranteed. Projects stall, appearances feel forced, allies stay silent. Bower's argument cut deep. The perfect family image isn't just emotional, it's commercial. It underpins everything they've built since leaving royal life. Question that, and the entire brand wobbles. Lady C went even further, suggesting Meghan miscalculated Harry's financial independence entirely. She thought she was marrying vast, untouchable wealth. Instead, she married someone still tethered financially and symbolically to the very institution they later attacked. It was a harsh assessment, but one that resonated with audiences already questioning motive versus mission. And then came the most dangerous part of all, curiosity turning into conviction. The more Harry threatened action, the more people asked what he was trying to prevent from surfacing. If everything is exactly as presented, why hesitate? Why not welcome scrutiny and end the speculation once and for all? That question hung in the air, unanswered. Legal analysts were blunt. Backing down now would look like fear. Pushing forward could be catastrophic. It's a lose-lose gamble. One that explains the paralysis. One that explains the silence. Lady C, with nothing to lose and no brand to protect, sits comfortably in the chaos. She isn't chasing deals, she isn't selling an image, she's daring the truth to come out, whatever that truth may be. And that fearlessness is exactly what makes her so dangerous to Harry's strategy. Because this isn't about winning an argument anymore. It's about opening doors that were never meant to be opened. Doors that, once unlocked, don't close quietly. The irony is brutal. In trying to control the narrative, Harry may have triggered the one scenario he cannot manage. Every attempt to clamp down tightens the spotlight. Every threat magnifies the suspicion. Every silence feels louder than the last. So now the world waits. Does Prince Harry retreat, letting this storm rage on without legal escalation? Or does he step into a courtroom and gamble everything? His privacy, his credibility, his carefully built post-royal identity on a fight he cannot fully control. Because if this reaches trial, it won't just be headlines on the line. It will be history. And history has a way of being unforgiving. One thing is certain, this story is no longer about gossip. It's about consequences. And whatever happens next, there's no rewinding the moment when the threat of a lawsuit turned whispers into a reckoning.